You guys are in for a treat today. I am talking with sustainable fashion director and designer Lakshmi from Lakshmi Bee, who has a history in corporate events, producing, and content creation. She is a mental health advocate, and today we're talking all things purpose. So stay tuned. Lakshmi Bee.
Hello. Good to see you.
I would say it's been a while, but these days I feel like we've been communicating more often.
I know, it's really crazy. It's amazing, what this situation brings out of us.
What is this, day 10 out of lockdown mode Australia?
Yeah.
It hit a point where it didn't hit me until one day someone said, Jason, you can't go visit your friend anymore. Like, that's out of the picture now. Stay home. And that's when I'm like, oh wow, it feels like prisoners in a certain degree.
That's when it got real for me too, because I know we were meant to do this here in the studio, and literally a week before they're like, nope, you can't visit friends anymore. At least that's what it seemed like, but...
Just like that. But you know what? They can't stop us, because here we are. We made it work. Obstacles, whatever's coming our way, you just got to keep pushing through it.
Where there's a will, there's a way.
Definitely. So obviously, we're here today to discuss purpose and what that means in today's day and age, and what that's meant to both our lives as well. And we have a lot of discussion points we want to go back and forth with. And I think it will be an amazing discussion we can have. Something that whoever's listening can get a lot of value out of. So once you're ready, I'm happy to kick it off, and we can jump right into this.
Yeah, let's dive into it, because I know, we're in some tough times at the moment, and it has literally changed the world as we know it, and the way we communicate and the way we do business. And I know it's affected a lot of people, especially in our events industry. So I know a lot of people are facing a lot of challenges right now, but as we always know, it's purpose that keeps you set and focused and calm in a situation like this. So it's very important that we know our purpose, especially in a time like now. And if we don't, how to get there, how to find out what our purpose is.
That's exactly it. I remember, 'cause I know you have background in real estate. And when you were telling me about how now they're doing virtual tours, it made me realize, you know what, we're quick to adapt to when we need to. I feel like the human spirit is very adaptable, and we'll do whatever it takes to keep the mission going. So it's the same for anyone who is out there. Like, he's got to find a way to make it work no matter what's in front of you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So to kick it off then, let's jump right into it. So in the whole theme of purpose, let's start it off. How did you find your purpose to get to where you are now?
Oh, that's the big question, isn't it? It's, it's like, it's not something that you're going to expect to figure out overnight. It's something that I feel that has happened by going through experiences like this, as hard and as tough as something is, like this situation or a hardship or something that's happened to you personally or at work or in your family. It's those adversities that push us closer to finding out what that is. And even in my life, I've experienced a number of adversities, and each experience and each sort of thing that's happened has pushed me closer to that and awakened me to that. But then I always believe when you're really young, we all have dreams, especially, they say go back to the age of 4. What was that one thing that you loved to do that made you really happy, And for me, it was kind of like entertaining and making things look nice, like whether it was making costumes or a piece of artwork or doing a mini puppet show for all the kids at preschool. These are things that we used to do. And in my whole life, it's those particular industries that bring me joy, the creative industry. So whether it's journalism, interviewing people, making clothes and dressing people and bringing out the best in them, from creating something so beautiful that's tailored to something that they really love, so that their inner true person is able to shine on the outside. It's always been a passion of mine through creativity. And I've realized that is part of my purpose in life.
But I was very curious because while you were talking, one of the first things you brought up was about going through hardships to, kind of even push you into that purpose. Do you believe that you need to go through hardships to unlock that purpose? Do you feel like it's a prerequisite to it?
It's so weird because when you think about it, something that you loved doing when you were younger, you kind of, I always believe we secretly know what it is, but life is very quick to confuse us and to take us down another path. And sometimes we find ourselves doing things that we don't really enjoy. And sometimes it's when the hardships come that shake up our world where we realize, oh my goodness, I actually don't even like what I'm doing right now. Because you're in that tough state and you're already in so much pain, you don't want to cause any more pain to yourself. So if you're doing something that you hate, it's like, no, I can't. Like, I'm out. I need to think of something else to do.
It's like when you it's like the straw that broke the camel's back. I think that's the phrase where it's like you can't take one more second of going through that struggle. Tony Robbins said something powerful, and I'm trying to remember the sentence right now, which is, I think he says, a lot of people say that change happens over time, but he was saying that change happens in an instant. Once you make that decision in your mind to say, you know what, no longer will I live this kind of way. But to me, that's kind of interesting because though I understand the premise he was coming at it from, which is once you make that decision in your heart, that's when you'll truly have change. But like you said, we're very stubborn, very prideful creatures, and sometimes it takes a lot of lashes until we're able to learn our lesson. I feel like even this situation we're in now, with the whole COVID-19 going on, it's amazing to see that this may be the catalyst that is required to make some people look at their life through a new lens and say, you know what, there's certain changes I need to make, whether it's personal, professional, health-wise, financially, whatever it may be. Sometimes you need to go through that fire to finally get to that place.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that you said fire because when you're going through those times, it's that fire that also burns away the impurities in us. So it could be things in your character, the way you deal with situations, the types of ways you react or respond in your everyday relationships. It makes you question and think of everything. And it just strips away all that dirt until you're left with just yourself. And as hard and as, gut-wrenching as it is to go through that, even just using my own life as an example, it's those defining moments that have just reminded me of who I am and what I'm here to do. And it is, again, a process because there are so many times that even though I've managed to overcome that and discover what my purpose was, somewhere along the way when life gets a little bit comfortable, I may forget that. And I may find myself doing work that I actually don't like. It's so easy to get there, especially in our society when, we are blessed with a lot of things. It is easy to lose sight of that.
What is it you feel that would make us drift back into those bad habits or things that we know we're not into? What do you think makes us drift back into those situations?
I think for me, using my own life as an example, the comfortability factor, like doing a part-time job to get to where I need to be or to fund my business until I'm able to throw myself in it completely. So I've had part-time jobs in the industry where I should have only been there for a limited amount of time, but I got a bit comfortable. I was getting a nice amount coming through. I loved the people that I was working with, and I would find myself at this one particular place for over 2 years until I had a snap moment. I was going through some challenges and I'm like, what am I doing? I'm not supposed to be here. It was like a huge wake-up call, but that only happened when I was going through challenges and I knew I had to change something.
Yeah, I get you. Interesting enough, are you familiar with the preacher Joyce Meyer?
Yes, I love Joyce Meyer.
So, big fan of hers, even though it kind of sounds weird to say you're a fan of a pastor. But I remember her telling one story where she said she was sitting in church one day, and for a while now, she had been feeling like God was telling her to leave her current church, her old church. And one day, she just kept on staying put. Similar to what you were saying, I think the comfortability factor of like not trying to stir the pot and shake the leaves of your current lifestyle. And one day she's just sitting down and she hears God say, "What are you doing here?" Like clear as day, he's like, "What are you doing here? Like I've told you what to do. Leave already." And here's what's so crazy about that, because if you think about the idea of being told to leave church, even many times there are certain things that it seems so conventional. It seems like it's such the right thing to do. Like you should be in church, or you should be in this business, or you should be doing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Trend.
The world is very quick to tell us what to do.
Yeah, and it's very easy to fall down into that pool. Let me ask you then. Okay, so besides the hardships and those being areas that can push you into your purpose and helping you find your purpose, what else do you believe helps you find your purpose?
You know what? It's like with anything. You need to have the right mindset to even begin the journey. And it's like before you can even be on that journey to actually discover your purpose, you have to do a bit of work first. You need to do the groundwork. So that's when I have my top tools that I've been blessed enough that people who are doing well have passed down to me. And, you know, it's the things that you usually hear. The first one I would say, and this is something I've been doing all my life, is journaling. Journaling is so powerful because you're able to get out whatever is going on in here out on paper. You're getting rid of that toxic mess that's inside you, and you're able to see it there, and there's a lot of clarity that comes when you actually put pen to paper. And another thing would be like podcasts and entrepreneurial leaders on YouTube. So I have my top 5 that I'll tune into and watch, and I'll just listen to their testimonies and stories. And you get so many amazing bits of gold in what they're saying that you can apply to your own life. And of course, something super, super powerful is a good old book. I have stacks and stacks of books over here.
Let's keep them coming.
I remember when I was younger, my dad actually taught me, if you don't know a good leader or someone successful, the best way to spend time with them is to read their book. So that's what I've been doing since I was little, and that has set a major foundation for me in my life.
Well, I love what you said about journaling, because that's something like I've been journaling my life since about 2013, and I used to do it just because I just felt like I wanted to monitor my life going forward. Do you know, like certain most celebrities, I feel, maybe their camera crew or their manager, they may document their life so that years down the track they have like a 2020 saying this is all the things they went through. And for me, I wanted to do that for myself. I wanted just to document, to see my journey, to see how it was panning out. But I didn't even realize the nuance and the deeper level of journaling at that point. I was just doing it for the sake of doing it. And then later on, you know, jumping into the self-development industry and the coaching industry, you learn all about how impactful it is to be journaling and to be reflecting and monitoring your progress to see what you've learned along the way, how far you've come. When I was starting out, I was just doing it for the love of doing it. It was just a joy. But it's crazy to see how even some of the old habits you may have had in the past line up with what creates success, even if you're unaware of it.
It's so true. It's so true. Literally, same thing. When you've been writing for years and you look back, you can actually see the patterns in your life. And it's so scary because there was actually a time recently where, especially when this crisis happened, I felt a bit lost. It was like, oh my goodness, like, what am I doing? Like, I've forgotten who I am for a second. And I go through the journal, and there was something I wrote in 2017. And it was literally all the steps I needed to take to get to the next level. And I'd taken those steps to get to where I am today. But those same steps can be applied to this situation to get to the next level from here. And that blew my mind. I was like, whoa, how did I know that back then?
It's just like copy and paste almost. Rinse and recycle. Like the same things that were able to sustain you and grow you at the early stages most likely will be the same things that are going to sustain you and grow you today. The only difference is you're doing it on a higher level. You know, you start at level 1. You start at where it's the easy obstacles, is the easy things to manage, and then there's a I don't know if it's a famous meme, but there's a meme I keep seeing online where you see a wolf. There's two wolves. One is, I don't know if you've seen this. One is a young baby wolf, and the other one's like a full-grown adult wolf. Now, the baby wolf has like one arrow in its back, and it's already lying flat on the floor. It's like it can't take any more. One arrow and it's gone. The adult wolf is standing strong. Like you can see, it's a tough, weathered wolf, and it has like hundreds of arrows in its back, but it's still standing strong. And you realize both of them probably went through, obviously both of them had gone through trials, but the degree at which the progression and the toughness and how it evolves over time, it's the same principle, just on a higher level, and how strong and tough you become as time goes on going through it.
Yeah, it's so true. I mean, even in the short 27 years that I've lived, I've already overcome a major life crisis and then multiple miniature setbacks since then, and that's exactly right. It's literally the problems are in a same particular type of category, but they are advanced at a tougher level. So it's like it's a pattern. It's like repeating the same process but using more of yourself, like getting to a deeper point. It's like when you like love someone, but then as you get older you realize the true meaning of love and what it really means to love. So you love in a deeper way. So the work is deeper. Everything is more intensified. You're using more of your spirit, more of your soul, of your mind, of your heart in those situations.
Great way to put it.
So on the topic of purpose, how do you prepare? Like, what are some things that you do to prepare for the purpose once you've sort of realized what it is?
One of the first things that comes to my mind when it comes to preparing for your purpose is, I think you need to set the right expectations. When it comes to purpose, I feel the day and age we're living in now, it's so, the self-development industry is so big, it's growing. Coaching is the second largest growing industry behind IT. So if you go online, you'll find a coach for anything: business coach, finance coach, health coach, performance coach, guru, whatever you're looking for, there's a coach for it, right? And what happens so many times is they're selling you the idea of the destination, the idea of where you're going to get to, how you're going to feel when you get there, being on top of the world, you got your own jet, and you know the champagne's pouring, and you know you're the envy of all your friends and family and peers and all that stuff. But rarely do people sell you the process. Rarely do people sell you the journey of what it is your purpose will require from you. So most of the times we prepare for success, but we don't prepare for the journey. And those are two different things you're preparing for. And our expectation of success is usually very much, it's more instant gratification. We're more impatient. We want it now. We don't understand how difficult it may be, the sacrifices we will need to make. So when you're going to be preparing for your purpose, I believe you need to first be able to set your expectations. Now, how do you do that? Firstly, you need to, I believe, that a big part of it will be being able to trace back those who have done it before you. And not just trace their wins, tracing their losses, tracing the sacrifices they made, tracing the duration it took them, tracing the heartbreaks and all the whole life of what it took to get to where they are. I believe you need to be able to trace that back and do research and learn and grow. And once you do that, you begin to put things in perspective. Because one of the dangerous things is not being able to count the cost of what your goal is actually going to be. If you believe to become the best in your field, you can put in half-ass effort and just hope that it's going to go your way. Well, you're deeply mistaken. But when you realize that there's going to be a whole lot of things you need to be giving up for it, and maybe the friends you wanted to see you won't be able to see, the the risk you need to be taking. Is your risk tolerance at where it needs to be? The potential shame and embarrassment that will come along your way if things don't go your way, to society's expectations. All these things might be stuff that you're not fully calculating before you jump into it. And once you're in the journey, you might begin to say to yourself, well, you know what, this isn't worth it to me. And if you've gone that far, now you say it's not worth it for yourself, well, you've sacrificed how many years before you realize this isn't for you? So to me, that's one of the big things when it comes to preparing for your purpose, to be able to count the expectations and count the cost of what it is to actually pursue what you're trying to get to. What are your thoughts on what would you say will be some of the things you need to prepare when it comes to reaching that place?
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's of course it connects a bit with what I spoke about before about doing the journaling, the reading, listening to the right people, but that means making sacrifices. So as you were saying, sacrifices could be changing your circle. It's literally true. Change your friends, change your life. I swear. At each level I go through, I am with completely different people than I was at the level before. And it's very rare that one of them will be able to come along that journey with me. And usually, like, you know, you meet people for different reasons, whether it's a season or a lesson or a friend for life. And I feel so blessed that I have met about probably one or two people who are going to be friends for life, who are on this journey with me and keep progressing and keep pushing through, keep being the best version of themselves. But then there are a lot that aren't ready for that.
To me, interesting enough, the idea of changing your circle of friends was something that I knew by theory, I knew theoretically, but to apply it was more difficult and more evasive than I thought it would be. Because sometimes in the conventional sense, you think about, you know, having good friends around you versus having bad friends around you. Say, you know, get rid of the toxic friends and then hold on to your, you know, empowering friends, right? But what I found was I wasn't dealing with toxicity versus empowerment. I was dealing with mission versus, I guess, comfort.
Right.
And sometimes the look of changing your friend group is a lot more innocent than you would like it to look. You may need to actually say, you know what, I'm gonna stop hanging out with this person who was a great person, amazing heart, always positive, always kind. But when it comes to them being able to help propel you into where you're meant to be, into your purpose, they may not be the best person for that. So even being able
That's
to,
so true.
being able to even exchange good for better. But I feel like when you say that, it can come with a bit of a almost like a shallow stigma, if you know what I mean. Like kind of like, oh, we're not good enough for you. Like, how dare you feel like, you know, we're not good enough. What are your thoughts on
That's
that?
happened to me before. Yeah. No, that's literally happened to me before. You know, they're not going to understand. And I always feel like you really see someone's true colors when you tell them no. Literally. That's a big one. And how they react and how they respond and how mature they are about it. I know it's a journey. And it makes me so sad because these are some seriously talented people, but I know they're in the wrong company. They're in toxic environments. And it hasn't helped them in life.
I've reached a place now where, seeing as I've been on this journey for quite a few years now, I no longer judge someone when they are willing to settle for complacency. I don't believe that you should settle if it's what you really want. I don't think you should settle. But understanding now the difficulty of it, I can understand why someone can say, you know what, I'm not ready to take on that risk. I'm just going to chill out, maybe do something that's more secure. It might be a 9-to-5 job, for example. Or even if it's not a 9-to-5, even it might just be a temporary gig or whatever, but something you know is secure money. Because I can understand how enticing it is. That security.
Yeah, it's enticing.
Versus kind of when you're trying to tackle your dreams, if we're being real, you're trying to slay a dragon every day. You know,
Pretty much.
There's a fire-breathing dragon in front of a pot of gold, and you want that gold, And the dragon's like, nah, this is my goal. You're not getting it. And
Yeah, exactly.
are you able to wake up day by day and say, you know what, I'm coming again to try to take on this dragon. The dragon slapped you around and it's had its way with you multiple times, but the day will come when you believe, where you feel like, you know what, I'm going to conquer this. I'm going to overcome this. I'm going to conquer the dragon.
Yeah.
But you are going up against a dragon. And to be honest, if someone came up
A
to me now and
big
said,
dragon.
yeah, if someone came up to me now and said, you know what, Jason, I want to chase my dreams, all this and that, I would be like, yeah, sure thing, go for it. Chase it. Beautiful. But I would also say to them now, like, do you know what it costs? Do you know what you need to give up to get there? Is it something are you truly prepared for the journey of what it means to be prepared to take this on?
Yeah.
But with that, I feel like let's segue again, because I want to ask you now. Once you say you found your purpose, you've done things to prepare for it now. Now you're in it, right? You're getting your
This is where the fun begins.
This is where the fun begins. This is where the fun begins. If you can get your leg wet, you're getting your feet wet, you know, you're a bit maybe waist deep in it now, you're really going for it. What are the steps in moving forward in your purpose? What steps are you now taking?
Oh my goodness. And it's so hard. You know what? I always believe that secretly we all know what to do. And when you can get quiet and be in that place, you already know what to do. But it's things like fear that stop us from making those choices. And I still struggle with it now. Like, I'm actually going through something right now that I'm battling with, especially with the current crisis we're in. It's desperate times for a lot of people. But I always say, and I'm talking to myself as well, desperation can lead to major destruction. Never ever make rash choices out of desperation. All right, so we're back, and I just ran out of battery in my earpods, so I'm just going to put those away and continue.
I can hear you even more clearer now, so I feel like it was meant to be.
I know, I don't even know why I had them in.
You looked very sci-fi. You looked what's the word? You looked advanced.
Star Trek. Star Trek in the Crisis 101.
You're completely prepared. You got an earphone here, you got camera, everything's going at the same time.
I kind of feel like my outfit's a bit Star Trek-y as well.
Oh, true, huh? Yes, even that's actually a crazy design. You got like the stripes and it's coming down. Is that, I already know, but I could ask anyway, is that Lakshmi Bee made?
It is Lakshmi Bee. I actually made this a few years ago when I was going through my first crisis. It was being creative. It just like also helps me keep on track to get out of, a negative mindset.
Yes, definitely. Finding some kind of hobby or outlet, really, just an outlet.
Yeah.
When someone doesn't have an outlet, I know some people who are like had hardships in their life, like very low places in the system, like youth care and whatnot, where a lot of bad things happen to people who go through that system, who have been through that system. Yeah. But having one outlet that they're good at allows them just to exercise and feel that worth and that importance that they have something to give. So, oh my gosh.
It's so true. I've been in that position so many times, like, sadly, like, growing up, we didn't have a lot. And, like, when you're trying to dig yourself out of a pit and you don't know how, I faced broke situations many times. And it was always creativity that kept my mind sane and helped me to dream. Because when you create, you're creating something new that's never existed before. So it's making you tap into a place in your mind of creating your future and your vision. And then that kind of propels into all the other areas of life.
That's it, right? It brings beauty out the ashes. Even you can even hear with like a lot of comedians, right? Like apparently a lot of comedians are very sad people. They've been through a lot of hardships, but they use it and convert it into comedy. And you see the beauty in being able to. It's almost like alchemy, like taking something from one thing and then transforming it into another. It's so powerful.
It really is.
So before we left though, because we're back again.
Yeah.
We're all recording. We're good to go.
Run two.
Yeah. Take two. And you're saying something. I actually do. What were we discussing just before we cut out?
Yeah, so basically, what are our steps in moving forward with purpose? So, this is a
Yes.
question that is so important because I remember when I was younger, and there was this, you'd see all the motivational speakers, and they would inspire you and motivate you, but nobody ever actually told you how. Not the ones that I was exposed to, anyway. And that used to frustrate me so much. Like, okay, that's
Mm.
great. Like, I know, get your mind into a positive space, but now what? Now what do I do?
Yeah.
Tell me what to do.
Yes, yes, yes. It's so interesting about what you said about they give you what to do but not how to do it. And
Yeah.
that's why I feel like it's so important in providing those steps, right? And we shouldn't disregard what you said before, which is very powerful, which is many times we know what to do. Okay?
Yes.
So but maybe fear is standing in the way, or limiting beliefs are standing in the way. So
Yeah.
part of me understands how sometimes it's not even the how that you need, it's the will, it's the courage, it's those
And
areas. However, when it's not the will, when it's not the courage, and it really is the how, that's why I feel like this kind of interlaps with being prepared for your purpose, which is greatness, success, all these things leaves clues, right? Tony Robbins says this all the time. Success leaves clues. Whatever you're trying to do, it's been done before. You're not original. You're not special. It sounds like a slap in the face, like you're not special. But in all honesty, whatever you're trying to do, it's been done before in some way, shape, or form. It may look different in, you know, how it's packaged, but the principle will remain the same. And especially if it's someone in your industry, or if there's other people in your industry where you can say, I saw the steps that they had taken, finding those mentors, finding those people who you can study their journey and say, how did they start? What was the first step that they took? How did they build that thing? Usually everything's documented to some way, shape, or form. We live in the information age. You can find the journey of anyone. How they first started off, you should be able to find that journey. And then it's a matter of saying, let me now go ahead and replicate that. Whatever you're looking for, someone can assist you in finding that resource if you're willing to have the courage and the will to go ahead and then replicate that same process down the track. So I believe that's one of the things when it comes to finding the steps is finding a model of who's done it before you and then replicating that same model.
I feel like that's a huge key because before you can build any tower, you have to lay the foundation. And exactly what you just said, this is building the foundation. Because one thing I also know is I do believe in trailblazers. There are certain people with certain missions that the world may have not seen before. And sometimes I find it can be really hard for them because they don't have people to look up to. Yet, when you build a foundation or a house, the bricks and cement are the same. They're the same compact ground that you need to stand on to be able to build your unique tower or empire. And so,
Mm.
yes, it is important to, of course, find the right people and mentors who can help you build that foundation so that you can flourish and build your tower, your empire.
The way I see it, I feel like I view it like a code, something that needs to be cracked. And I feel like once you crack the code, the formula for success in a certain industry, you will then be able to say, okay, I know how to build this X, Y, Z, 1, 2, 3. These are the steps to go about doing it. But then once, like you said, with the trailblazers, sometimes they're dipping into innovation. They're dipping into new lanes that haven't been done before. I do believe though that even with that same innovation with the trailblazers, it's the same principle of it being a code that needs to be cracked. There'll usually be multiple humans. Humans have been the same since the beginning. We're not going to change. What do we want? We want to be connected. We want security. We want love. We want efficiency. If you're always finding ways to be efficient, to connect, to help love each other, to whatever else that humans historically have always desired, you're most likely going about the right path. It's just a matter of what are the little things that you will need to tweak and experiment with that will allow you to fully be that trailblazer and innovate where you need to be, where you want to go. Because ultimately, I believe it all comes down to experimentation as well. You need to be willing to experiment.
Yeah, and I love what you said right there. You talked a lot about human connection which is huge. And I would suggest one tool. This is where I started when I didn't know the right people. I was in a new city, basically paving a new way, no idea what I was doing, was networking. You always hear that your network is your net worth. And that is so true, because one of the things that helped transform my life was networking and finding the right people. And that can literally transform your entire life. And how do you do that? We're so lucky we have the internet. You just Google local networking events in my city, in my town. Are there any conferences? Are there any free seminars? I actually met one of my best friends at a free marketing seminar. And we literally clicked straight away. And we were both going there for the same thing. We had a similar mindset, a similar vision. And it was incredible. And that was my first best friend in Sydney.
How valuable is that relationship to you now?
So valuable, so valuable. I've never had a friend like her before, and I'm so grateful that I met her. And even as well as her, my work colleagues I met at some of these events, or I met someone at an event who introduced me to someone else who has opened many doors for me. So it's like being in the right place with the right people at the right time. And if you're a complete nobody, super broke, don't know what to do, get dressed up, pull yourself together, and go to a free networking seminar.
Go hit
That's
up
all I do.
Saint Salvation Army, thrift shop. Get yourself like a cheap suit. Just present yourself well. Walk right into there.
Exactly.
Hey, I'm Jason. Like,
do you know how many amazing blazers I find at Vinnie's? Like in Australia, we've got amazing thrift shops like the Red Cross, Vinnie's, Lifeline. I swear, I got the most beautiful vintage blazer for $3. And this coincides with a lot of the work we do at Lakshmi Bee with the whole upcycling trend. And that's another thing I'm passionate about, is showing you, if you're a nobody and you're really stuck and you're starting from scratch, style is so powerful. Style and the way you put yourself together will make you stand out. It'll give you the confidence. And you're going to attract the right people when you go out.
it kind of sucks to hear, but first impressions are so key. They're so critical. And I used to be the kind of person where I didn't want to. I knew what I had in myself, so I didn't want to say I have to go dress like this and dress like that just to get respect. But the world just kept on showing me that if you don't present like the part, I'm gonna assume you don't have what it takes.
Exactly.
Or the right person.
You have to show up in all ways.
So what I actually did in my workplace was I did like a social experiment. I went from just dressing casually, dressing how I'm comfortable with, to saying, you know what, this year I'm gonna up my fashion game. So I went into my into my wardrobe, began to look through different fashion blogs and men's fashion pages just to see like how to color coordinate and color match and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Changed my fashion game when I went into work and whatnot, and the way people started treating me just completely shifted. And it came from something I knew was already inside me.
Yes.
But the world demands for you, and if we're being real, the world demands for you to show it because, not everyone's as forgiving as your parent would be to love you anyway.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And when we go back to, what are your steps, that you can do moving forward with purpose, is obviously you're doing the inner work, your books, podcasts. There's so much amazing free content online. So you're healing the inner man first, and then you got to think of the outer man,
Yeah.
So, or woman, person, people. So
Inner person, outer person, yes.
yeah, I mean, I did a style course in Orange County that literally transformed my life. And this lady had studied science and fashion for over 40 years. And there's actually science behind the type of clothes that you wear, the colors that you wear, and how people respond to you as a person, And there's a lot of power in a suit jacket. There's a lot of mental associations that come with a suit jacket. So she said, especially as women, we need to wear a jacket when we're meeting someone for the first time, going into a business environment, to be taken seriously and to be heard. And that one little thing, wearing a nice jacket, changed so much for me. Walking into a room, just a simple hairdo, I got some cheap earrings from Lavisa, and they looked expensive even though they weren't real.
Yeah.
Pair it with my Vinnie's jacket, and then I turn up, you know.
That's it.
It made a massive difference.
I remember the first time when my first corporate gig in the city, and I was required to wear usually just like wear a business casual, but every once in a while we would suit up for meetings. And walking through the city just suited up, it's a whole nother swagger. It's like going level 10. You just feel like no one can tell you nothing.
Yeah.
Like whatever's
Sure.
happening, like you feel like I've got this. I know it. I'm the man. Even though hopefully you don't allow it to get to your head, but
Yeah.
it really does.
It
add
gives
another element.
you some major confidence. And I remember when I was going through my crisis and being super broke, sleeping on a roach infested floor, didn't have any of my friends. There was no confidence. I was just like completely flat, like smashed on the ground, felt like absolute crap and completely worthless. And it was doing that inner work. My first podcast that I started was Lisa Nichols. She's so freaking amazing. Like, you should check her out. Her story, she came from humble beginnings, worked really hard to get to where she is. She gives you steps and strategies on mindset and being confident and how to speak. Because, as you said, the first impression is really important. And so these small things, even though I was shaking inside, I was scared, I still turned up to the free seminar dressed up in my Vinnie's, outfits. Sometimes when you get brought down to a really vulnerable place, the true inner genuine and gentleness in you comes out. And that
Yeah.
really attracts people, because the ego is gone. All the hype is gone. It's just you. So when you're dressed well, presented well, and you're in that beautiful state of gentleness and genuineness, you're going to attract some really amazing people. And that's what happened to me.
Yeah, that just sounds so powerful. I'm just thinking about the times where I've been at networking meetings where I'm like the only millennial in the room, or at least the only 20-year-old in the room, and it really does humble you. Because
Yeah.
what I believe, I hope this doesn't sound like, I hope it doesn't offend people, but I believe business is like an old man's game. Young people, we try to jump into it, but many times we maybe lack the experience to sustain it. So when you go into network meetings, what I always see is there's like maybe one or two, potentially two 20-year-olds, and then there's a lot of just 30, 40, 50s.
And the patience. Because that's one thing we lack in our generation is patience. We're so used to getting everything we need now, where business is a long game. You're in it for the rest of your life. And consistency executed over a long period of time generates you some amazing results and circumstances and situations that are going to help you build your blocks, your foundation, and you're going to have a tower that's going to stand against the test of all time.
Yes, that's exactly it. That being said, I know we're doing deep dives into all these discussion points, but we have a lot more to come. So I feel like this is an opportunity for us to move through to the next segment, and I'll let you lead that way.
Yeah, absolutely. So now we're here, we're in the door, we're meeting the people, we're dressed up. What is something that you are going to expect when you're walking out your purpose?
That's a great question, Lakshmi. And I think this is where we do an even deeper dive, because before I talked about when you're preparing to learn what to expect, right? So that you understand what's coming your way. Now let's really dive into what's going to be coming your way. What are the details of the things to expect?
Yeah.
If you go online, without a doubt, within about a week's time, if you follow a lot of self-development pages, coaching pages, business pages, you will see a meme about how your family and friends first view your dream, your vision, and the different stages you'll go through. So when you
Right.
first tell them, they might feel like, oh yeah, good for him, but they might they doubt you, right? Then you keep going down the track, and maybe you have some failures, because what can go wrong will go wrong, right? And next thing you know, people may begin laughing at you. So first you go through people doubting you. Then you go through maybe failures. People start laughing at you. You feel like there may be shame around it. And then you get to a point where maybe you start getting successful and people begin to hate on you because they want what you have.
Yeah.
Right? So already, if I was just to start with those three key traits, doubt, being made fun of / shame, to having hate come your way. So let's start off with doubt, right? Because quickly, I believe chasing your dream, whether it's business, whether it's creative arts, whether it's just as a leader, you will quickly be humbled by the world. The world will quickly show you what you thought it was going to be is not what it is. And if you really want what it is, you're going to go through some hard times. And one of the first wake up calls for myself was realizing how many times and how much people will say, "Oh yeah, you're doing a great job. Love what you're doing," but inside they don't truly believe it or truly support it at a true genuine level. I've spoken to friends and family who become jaded because of this. You know, it can really warp how you see, you know, other humans, because you realize how much you know fakeness there can be around, how much fake love there can be around in your environment.
Massively. Yeah.
Because when you think about it, when you actually are one of those people that smashes fear, goes against the grain and against the odds, and you really get out there and you're like, I'm going to make this happen, there aren't a lot of people that are in that space when you're in a dark space. Because if you're struggling, you're usually surrounded by other people struggling. Your circumstances are literally wired against you. So when you become that one person in that comfy group who's like, you know what, I don't want to be in this group anymore and I want to do what I need to do, you face massive adversity. Massively. And exactly as you said, a lot of fakeness, you know. I could do a whole nother video on that topic.
It'll be a whole 3 other videos on the fakeness of it all. And so firstly, yeah, you'll have people who just doubt your mission. They doubt that you can really get it done. They knew you back when you were no good, and now you're trying to change your life. Who do you think you are? Stuff you. And then maybe you graduate from doubt to you have a pitfall in your life. You have a failure in your life, because what can go wrong will go wrong, right? So once you graduate from people doubting you, right, and pretending to believe in you, then you graduate to shame from failing, because what can go wrong will go wrong, right? So already, and this is not how it ends, but this is the journey. So you need to prepare yourself. This is what you're going to have to expect as you're going through this roller coaster. Yeah. So what can go wrong will go wrong. You will have a pitfall. Some kind of setback, and people will be there to say, "See, I told you shouldn't have done this. I told you couldn't do this." Just naysayers, just telling you, stop it, like talking behind your back, gossip. Many times my own friends speak about other friends of mine about, what are they doing? I can't believe they're doing this. And I'm thinking, if you're saying this about them, I can just imagine what you... Yeah, like, when someone comes and gossips to me, they probably think I'm, like, into it. In my mind, I'm like, I now know I can't trust you as my own friend.
Exactly. That's right.
I may not tell you on the spot. I'm like, oh, yeah, really? That's what they're doing? I'm like, oh, thank you for letting me know that you're not a true, trustworthy friend who will hold and come to me and tell me what you feel about me, rather than just telling it to someone behind my back.
And that goes back to our point from before, is changing your circle, change your life. And when you are in a place of adversity and you are trying to change to get to that next level, the part of the pain that you go through is being alone. There is going to be a period of time where you're going to feel really lonely. And it's horrible. It really sucks, you know. Honestly, I made best friends with the people on my YouTube channel. I'm like, these are
hey guys, it's me again. Oh, you want to catch up for a cup of coffee? Let's go get some coffee soon.
Even though, and it's like all these people live like, you know, 1,000 miles away, like in other countries and other cities, and it was like, damn, like why can't there be someone like that in my city? But then that's why part of the reason I changed cities was the town I was from. There wasn't any growth happening there.
I knew I had to make that bold step to leave my whole entire life behind. Everything I knew, friends, you know, lifestyle, everything, all going out the window into this big, new, scary, smoky city of Sydney. And it took a while, and I was alone for a while, but as we mentioned, you know, going to those free networking seminars, dressing up, reading the books, doing the work, listening to the podcast, started creating a new group of people. And they were way more advanced in their thinking. And even the things that they held close to their heart, they had missions. They weren't hanging out for the weekend. They wanted to help people. They wanted to change people's lives as well as changing their life. And that is so inspiring, so inspirational to be around.
Well, I think you kind of even jumped to the end of what to expect, which is also expect to have people who align with your journey, and to expect to find those people, because you will. Because, you know, when you are, and I for lack of a better term, I'm gonna say the word oppressed. You're not truly oppressed when you're trying to do this entrepreneurship journey, but like, what I mean is the principle of being oppressed. Usually you'll come together with other like-minded oppressed people. And once again, I know we're not actually oppressed, but for the sake of just making a point, you'll find others who are also going through that same struggle, you know. They also are feeling alone. They're on a journey where, you know, people doubt them, people have talked behind their back, and they realize that they need to stick together. They need to find like-minded communities. So expect to also find those people, because they're out there. They may not be everywhere. There might be a minority, but you will find that minority. And when you do, it's something that allows you to do things like what we're doing here today.
Exactly. See, if I didn't move here and did what I did, I wouldn't have even met you or the crew. Like, isn't that crazy?
The Lord works in mysterious ways, you know. Life is a hell of a thing. But maybe one of the last things as well, I would say, in regards to what to expect, because you should expect everything, really. But expect to have those days where it just feels like, I can't do this.
Yeah, you know what? It's so true. It's like, absolutely, you know, it's not going to be perfect. And those hard days are coming, but that's when preparation is key. Being prepared and knowing what to do when adversity strikes you. Kind of like the situation that we're in today. And then if you backtrack, going over some of those things, like right now, we can't go outside. We have to be indoors in the self-isolation. And again, sometimes the best way of spending time with people is to read their book, you know, or watch there are so many online seminars now, you know, and when you are building your network, usually someone in your network will know of a particular free seminar that's happening that you can get access to. And that's about being confident enough to go and ask. And honestly, if you don't know anybody and you really are starting from scratch, YouTube, get on YouTube. There are so many great coaches. Or you can watch this video that we're making today.
Yes. Shameless plug. Watch this, and share this. But 100%, definitely. Whatever it is that you're looking for, YouTube is golden. The amount of hours I've spent teaching myself stuff on YouTube, and then later on people say, "Hey, Jason, how do you do that?" YouTube, just YouTube it. YouTube will show you how to do anything you want.
Yeah, it's so good. We're so blessed.
God bless YouTube. Thank God for YouTube. So, in the spirit of what we're discussing, which is what to expect on this journey, right? So we've spoken about doubt. We've spoken about, or basically people doubting you, about people potentially talking behind your back at times, or even having haters. And then also about finding like-minded people. You will find those like-minded people who will come alongside and make it amazing. Something else to expect as well is that when you're going along your journey, when you're trying to get stuff done, that you need to expect to work within the chaos.
Yes.
Many times we believe that it's meant to be like a perfect road. It's meant to be paved out for us. In all honesty, the road to success is a dirt road that's crooked. It looks terrible. You're not sure if it's even a road or not, but you're meant to walk down it either way. So for example, every time I'm recording, something goes wrong. Every time. I've never had a recording where something didn't go wrong. However, that doesn't stop me from doing the recording and putting out content. So that's just one example. And when you're going down that track, you can expect it for whatever sphere you're in. However you would like it to go, most likely it will not go that way. And it's up to you to still move forward while it's not going the ideal way you want it to go.
Exactly. And this is actually a conversation you and I had today, this morning. So obviously, you know, we're in great times of adversity, and it has tested me even now, even at this stage that I'm at in my life.
Hold that thought right there, because I'm about to line up the next segment and I'm going to let you go straight from that. So how do we handle obstacles and obstructions? Lakshmi, tell us.
Yeah, and this is it, you know, because they're expected. If you want, you know, to do something special, you need to do something different in order to be able to get something special, to have a new result. And in times of adversity like this, I had a breakdown last night, you know, and I'm only human, and I know a lot of other successful entrepreneurs who, as much as they have it together and as successful as they are, they still have those moments of breakdown. And I want everyone to know that and realize that when you see someone who is a place where you feel like that's where you want to be, they're not some kind of god. They're just human, just like you. They've just put in the work. That's all. They've put in the work internally, outwardly, and they've made themselves become someone who they had always envisioned themselves to be, or who they knew they really were inside. But we are still human. We're still going to have emotions and breakdowns and feelings of overwhelm. And that's what happened to me even last night. You know, everything's changed. And of course, you know, we work in the event scene and in the fashion scene, and a lot of our events are now cancelled, and we've had to adapt quickly to the changing circumstances, and it's affected my work, you know, and I couldn't believe that. Oh my goodness, like, am I going to be broke again? Like, am I going to be worried about food next week? And I thought, no. Like, you have come too far to think like this. And so in overcoming obstacles and challenges, I had to think quick. I'm like, how did I overcome my last crisis? What did I do? And I'm so thankful that I had that crisis back then, because now I can go back to those tools and those changes that I made to overcome. And again, it goes back to the start. It's filling your mind with things that are good and things that deserve praise. Because it is so easy when you have the media blasting negativity, you've got your friends who are scared, family who's worried, all these voices filling your head. You feel like you're going to explode. And it's like, oh my goodness, like, what am I going to do? Again, for me, it's getting quiet. Whether you pray or meditate, whatever it is for you, number one, get quiet. Find a place. Even if your house is noisy, what I used to do, I'd go in the bathroom and lock the door. And I just sit in the bathroom and just meditate.
Well, you need sometimes.
Exactly. So you get quiet. And for me, you know, I believe in God. So I always pray to God and ask God for guidance. And I focus on being calm and just breathing and just being at one with myself again. So that's the first start, to quiet the voices. And if you find that hard to do, because I know I find it hard to get quiet, sometimes I listen to really nice music. So something nice like classical, or I like New York jazz. That makes me feel happy. Whatever music makes you feel happy, music that's inspiring and positive, usually without words, is good. Or even, like, for me, I like my worship music, you know? I put on some modern day worship music, and that helps me get into a good space. Or there's meditation music, whatever, honestly, whatever works for you. That would be number one. And when you get quiet and you're able to sort of reconnect with yourself again, that's when the creative download starts to come back. That's when you start to decipher your life. And then that is when I get my good old journal. So I have like 3 different journals for 3 different purposes. I've got my daily journal. So this is where I scribble out all my ideas and thoughts. So I think, For example, my work, I start writing down what I do for work, how
Yeah.
we have had success in the past. And then I
Mm.
think, okay, what can we do differently? Where is the world heading? Right now, we're all indoors, we're locked inside. What can we use? Video. Video is a very powerful tool. Let's make more videos. Let's take our whole business model and put it online. So that's
Mm.
just one idea. But to come to ideas like that requires you to stay calm and to not
Yeah.
buy into the crisis or the craziness. Because when you're in a state of stress, you can't think straight and you're thinking out of survival. And we don't always
Mm.
make the best choices when we're in that state of mind. So it's changing the mindset by doing those simple things, journaling, and feeding yourself with positive information. And then the other thing when you're getting quiet is reading your books again. You know, get some inspiring books. I'm reading this one by Zig Ziglar at the moment, and it's basically
Oh,
over
Zig.
the top. Moving from survival to stability, from stability to success, from success to significance. And I feel
Mm.
like that very much illustrates the times that we're in right now. And history does repeat itself. So Mr. Ziegler is helping me out right now. And another one I love, this book has helped change my life, is The Everyday Visionary by Jesse Duplantis. So freaking
Oh,
powerful. And it's all about mindset and how you can change your circumstances based on healing your inner man, your spirit, and your mindset. It's so good. So
wow.
those are my main keys. And also, not isolating yourself. Call your friends. Do a Zoom call. Do a chat. Keep yourself social. Like doing this with you, doing this with my friends or my business mentors. If you don't have business mentors, even just connecting with a friend, you know, keeping yourself sane and social because as humans, we are social creatures.
Yeah.
So that has helped me a lot. So you can talk it out.
That's so powerful. Many great points. And to me, hearing you say all those tools and all those techniques, it's the same principles that we've spoken about throughout the whole podcast. It's a matter of applying it. Sometimes you need to go back to the basics when things get
Yeah.
tough, when things get scary. It's about going back to the foundations. In sports, when the stakes rise and situations get tense, you always hear coaches say, go back to the fundamentals. Do the fundamentals. If it's basketball, you know, get a proper foundation, proper pivoting, proper positioning, do a proper pass. The simple things. It's about doing the simple things because the simple things work. You know,
Exactly.
when times are luxurious and times of comfortable, you know, you can get a bit fancy with how you go do stuff, experiment, whatever, whatever. But when it becomes a crisis, it's time to go back to the fundamentals and do the basics.
And it's like
And
what you were saying at the start, you know, about success leaving clues and about going back to basics. This is your foundation. So when your building starts to rupture and the world you've created is going into a state of chaos, that's right. Getting back to the basics. What's that foundation? What does that look like? How can we cement the cracks? What are we missing?
that's it. So that being said, I feel like that guys, that's our last segment. Before we get ready to close off, I know we've been doing this for a while now, so we'll see how long it ends up, how long this video ends up being. But our last segment.
Yes, and that is how do we trust the process? So we know what to do, we've got the tools, we're doing what we know we need to do. How do we keep going? What does trusting the process look like when you
Here's
can't see ahead?
when you can't see it. Here's what's so amazing. Great question, Lakshmi. And here's what's so amazing about what it looks like and how we trust the process. You actually pinpointed the answer before, but sometimes we don't put that to the forefront of how to trust the process. When you were in your crisis mode, you spoke about journaling and going back through your experiences of when things were good, of how you overcame things in the past, right? What allowed you to go back and apply those same steps is you saw the success from your previous experiences. You saw that those things worked for you before, so you had trust in them that they would work for you again now.
Yeah.
If you had never experienced that before, what are the chances that you would actually trust it? But the fact that you've gone through it before, you've gone through that process before, and you've seen that it's worked for you before, you trusted that process that could get you out of the hump, the pit or the slump that you're in.
Yeah.
And to me, that's the same thing about what it looks like to trust the process. To trust the process means, to me, you need to find why it is you believe that what you're doing will be successful. It's not enough to just say, I'm going to be successful. Because the obstacles will come, the trials will come, the earthquakes will come, and they'll shake your foundations and say, is this legitimate? Is this pure? Is this strong enough? Is this solid? And if your why and your belief and what you're trusting is shallow or hollow, it's going to crumble. But when you know that whatever you're trusting in has a cemented and proven track record of being successful, that's when you can have more trust and more faith in it. So those are things like finding the right mentors who have done it before, who have proven track records. Journaling and seeing what you've done before to make sure that you've got through that position before. Seeing you've been in those trials before, you've come through it before. So you know this is nothing new. You trust the process when you know you've gone through the process before. So the best way to look forward is to look back. And I'm sorry, I know I'm rambling now, but I'm just getting excited about it. But yes, go, please go.
Yeah, no, you're 100%. But I also want to reach out to people who feel like they haven't seen results, that they're just starting out. Because I remember when I was 17 and I had these huge dreams, but I hadn't really seen success yet. I hadn't really achieved any of my dreams yet that I'd created for myself. So how do you trust the process and have faith when you're in that time? And for me, it was having a desire so strong. So it begins with you. How much do you want to change? Are you really sick of where you are? Do you really want to live the life that you see up here? And I think vision is extremely powerful. Just like my man Jesse Duplantis, the everyday visionary. Vision, that's where it all starts, you know? And what would excite me was visualizing the life that I wanted. Visualization is so powerful. I would sit alone in a room, listen to music, and I would imagine, what do I want my life to look like? What am I wearing in my vision? Who am I talking to in my vision? And I would create all these exciting scenarios. And I would even think about red carpets and wearing one of my Lakshmi Bee creations on the carpet. Yeah. And this was when I was 17. And literally over the past couple of years, I can't even count how many red carpets we've done. Everything I visualized back then has now happened. And that has given me even more faith. But if you haven't reached that point yet, create a vision that's so exciting, it makes you want to follow the process and not give up.
See, what I love about what you just said then is you brought up a great point. Some people don't have the reference point to believe in. And like you said, you created the desire. So on the front end, it looks like desire. But to me, when I hear that on the back end, that means hope. When you don't have faith yet, sometimes all you need is hope, the possibility. And hope is enough to make you act. You know, if you have no hope at all, chances are you won't act. But if there's hope, if there's an idea of what's possible, and that's the vision you put in front of yourself, that can be enough to make you act until you have those proven experiences that then cement your faith to go forward in the future.
Yeah, and I love what you said there about desire. Desire is so powerful. Desire makes people do interesting things. So you create a really positive and exciting desire for yourself, something that's going to inspire you to push against the odds. I always hear it all the time, you know, creating a life that you love. So it's not what someone else wants for you or what you hear. And the only way to find that out is when you can get into that quiet space and think, what do I actually like? What do I want to do? You know? And when you're doing things that you really love and that you're really passionate about, you're going to want to stick it out for the long haul, and you're going to keep doing it regardless of how it turns out. And there are going to be multiple failures, we know that, and there's going to be fear and adversity and all these challenges, but the desire is so strong, the vision is so strong, that you are going to keep climbing the mountain.
and you're going to keep going until you get to that point that you want to reach. And then you create another vision ahead of that one. Or, as a lot of people in that space do, you create a vision so huge that even when you're not quite there yet, you've still achieved phenomenal things. And that's
Yes,
something that I
yes.
personally do myself.
Can't say any better than myself. Um, so I feel like we've gone through a lot of points. We've gone through a lot of topics from, how to find your blessing to preparing for it, the steps to take, what to expect, handling the obstacles to trust in the process. Um, and ultimately now, for anyone who's watching, I want to give them the opportunity to, if they are looking to find us, where they can find us at. So where can they find you, Lakshmi?
Yeah, you can type in Lakshmi Bee on Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube, and you can check out a little bit of the mission, the work that we're doing through the fashion industry. And if you want to reach out to me personally, if you type in underscore Lakshmi Gowda on Instagram or Facebook, you'll find me there as well.
Too easy. And if you are looking for Coach Badu, life coach Jason Badu, you can find my Instagram being Coach Badu, or you can find me on Facebook, just Jason Badu, or even on YouTube as Jason Badu too. And I'm just putting out content, putting out things that I believe will help better people's lives for leaders, entrepreneurs, and creatives. And I hope to connect with you. Okay, well, until next time, and I'm sure we'll do more of these, hopefully in the same room
Yeah,
next time. If not, whatever it takes, even if we need to come back to where we are right now, I'm happy to do it again.
yeah. And
But we
thank you so much, Jason, for coming here and sharing a bit about what you do and even sharing some of your own personal stories and strategy to help others. It's really inspiring what you're doing in your sphere, and I can't wait to see where you take it.
No worries. I'm happy to do so. Thank you so much, Lakshmi. God bless.